Thanks for tuning into Know Wine in No Time. I'm your host Dave, and today we're going to talk all about a single varietal by the name of Malbec. Now Malbec's been on a kind of a meteoric rise here recently, and a lot of it has to do with its QVR, and that's quality to value ratio. So hear me out for a second. Think about the last time you've been in your local wine store. The wine store is awash with so many different $10, give or take a couple of dollar Malbecs from Argentina. And guess what? The quality of them is great. So because of that, they've attracted people in and continue to build that brand of Malbec. But would you be interested to know that Malbec is not at all native to Argentina? Although they are the dominant player in the world right now, with almost 100,000 acres planted worldwide in 7 countries, 77,000 of them are planted in Argentina. So that is exactly 77%. But Malbec has its roots go back all the way to southwest France. And in southwest France, that grape is a native varietal. And for centuries, the natives have called that Côte or Côte Noire or Auxerrois, any one of those 3 different names. It's also one of the 6 noble grapes of Bordeaux. So when we think about Bordeaux and where that's located in France, southwest France is just slightly below that. So kind of your Malbec belt goes all the way from southwest France up into Bordeaux. And for hundreds of years, Malbec was a major player in that region. Then all of a sudden, the frost of 1956 hit, and it decimated the Malbec crop. Malbec is a little bit early budding, so when it budded and then the frost hit, and it was an extended frost for days and days below 0 degrees Celsius, and it killed a vast majority of Malbec in France. And at that point, the French needed to look at whether they wanted Malbec long term, and they decided to plant other different varietals, things like Cabernet Sauvignon, things like Merlot in Malbec's place. So now you see a switch, but French Malbec and Argentine Malbec, while the DNA is exactly the same, the presentation of the wine in the glass is distinctively different. So hear me out on this. So when we think about warm weather or cold weather Malbec, and then the influences of altitude, much like we have in Argentina, Malbec starts out in cooler, higher elevation places, presenting as red fruits. Think cherries, think raspberries. Then as the weather gets warmer, then we present with darker fruits. Think plums and blackberries. And the beauty of it is in the background, we always have a significant amount of spices, anywhere from chocolate to cocoa to coffee, and even a little bit of black peppercorn. Now what's different is French Malbec is generally grown at lower elevations, so the wines tend to be a little bit more jammy and more pure fruit in their presentation. They also tend to be significantly more tannic, so they'll age longer. Argentine Malbec, which is fantastic, tends to be slightly more acidic, a little bit leaner on its fruit, and has a little less time as far as potential in the bottle. So let's talk a little bit about the French Malbec and also perfect food pairings with this type of a wine. So Malbec itself is a medium acid, medium tannin, medium body type wine. So it's very flexible. It goes with a lot of things. But because its tannins are a little bit lower and it has a shorter finish than, say, Cabernet Sauvignon or Merlot, it tends to like leaner red meats. Let's think ostrich. Let's think things like venison, elk, stag, things of that nature. It also likes more rustic flavors, things like mushrooms. So check this out. If we had the perfect pairing for Malbec, think of a lean, say elk burger, with blue cheese on top and wild mushrooms. That would be the absolute perfect pairing for a Malbec. So you might be intrigued to what we can expect in our glass from a French Malbec, because I'm confident everybody out there in No Wine and No Time land has tasted Argentine Malbec. So this wine we have today is from Lionel Osman, and it's just from a little south of Bordeaux, right on the Tarn River. So this Malbec, the first thing we notice that when we look at it in the glass is we see a fairly opaque presentation, but one thing about Malbec is we always have the telltale signs of a little magenta ring right around the edge, just kind of a beautiful purple that tinges the edge of the glass. Now if we swirl to liberate the aromas, what leaps out of the glass is everything from a fresh red beet to a little bit of rhubarb and even a little bit of blackberry. Let's go ahead and taste the wine. As this Lionel Osman's Malbec passes the palate, the first thing we notice on the entry is we get a beautiful layer of blackberry and cassis. Then, right about mid-palate, I'm getting a really significant, not dark chocolate, but more of a milk chocolate type of lift in the center. We feel beautiful acidity, and on the back side of the palate, we feel those medium tannins kind of kick in and give it a longer finish. What I'm tasting as this wine goes on is more and more influence of that chocolate, almost bordering on mocha, and the actual fruit flavors are dissipating quite a bit. So when I think about the last time I've had a Argentine Malbec, they were really kind of all about blackberries and a little bit of a smoky mid-palate. That's replaced in a French Malbec by more pure fruits and more chocolate type of flavors. So I would ask, next time you're in your favorite wine store, please seek out a French Malbec. They're going to be all over the southwest portion of France, and their most notable appellation is one called Cahors, C-A-H-O-R-S. The S is silent. Seek it out. I think you'll really be happy with how it presents in the glass. So I'm going to enjoy a little bit more of Lionel Osman's creation, and I ask that you come back next time, because soon you'll know wine in no time.